cracks in my tomatoes. Well, it's uneven watering. You give a tomato a lot of water and it goes, and it swells up, and then you don't water it, and it dries back down, and then you give it water again, and it tries to go, and the skin is contracted, but then it goes, oh yeah, and you get cracks.
But you can. Dad grew the best tomatoes last year, but we had some watering issues.
Yes. 75% of the problems that vegetable gardeners encounter are watering problems. Really, it sounds ridiculous, but that's what it is.
Everyone wants to water all their plants. All these guys they plant, they want to walk by and water them. So
I water, like I said, once a day, and when it starts to get warmer, once a week, twice a week, and if it's really, really hot and the plants really, really need it, 3 times. I'm going to digress here. There is no way a 7-foot-tall tomato plant can take up enough water to keep from wilting when it's 115 degrees outside. I don't care if you have water puddled in your garden, you are going to have wilted tomato plants. They just can't take up enough water. Look at them at early in the morning before the sun really gets hot on them, and if they're standing up straight, they've got enough water. Okay.
Part of the question I had, sometimes in lawns, they want you the lawn to look a little thirsty, a little wilted before you water.
Yes.
A good idea to similar?
No.
No.
Dig down 2 to 3 inches,
yeah.
and if you've got moisture,
Good enough.
it's good enough. It's when you get below that 2 inches and it's dry, you need to put water on that, okay? The other thing that does is it causes the roots to grow deep,
Yeah.
and so there's more water down deep, it's cooler down deep, the root hairs don't get singed.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
all makes sense when you start to think about it.
Yeah, it does.
What causes dead leaves at the bottom of a plant? Well, it depends what time of the year it is. If you're into September and you've got dead leaves at the bottom of your plant, the plant is old. It's going to lose a few leaves. If you put the tomato plant in and it's been in 3 weeks and it's dropping leaves at the bottom, you may have a wilt.
A wilt?
Depends when it is.
You say a wilt?
A wilt, Fusarium or verticillium, or tobacco mosaic, or.
It's a disease?
It's a disease.
Oh, okay.
And there's nothing you can do for that.
Okay.
You have to take the plant out. Don't plant another tomato plant there. Don't plant a pepper plant there. Don't plant an eggplant there, because that's in the soil. You got to rotate something through for a couple of years. You look at a tomato plant and it says DET or IND. DET is determinate, and it means the plant will grow 3 to 4 foot tall. Typically, these plants bear 1 crop of fruit, and then they die. And the reason for that is they were designed for the commercial harvest people. They wanted a small plant, the crop all got ripe, and then they could pull the plant out. IND means indeterminate. These are the plants that as long as they don't get frosted, they will grow and grow and grow and grow. We did one tour in Hawaii. I had a tomato plant that I planted one summer, and it grew, and it grew, and it was on the roof of the garage, and the next summer it was still producing. The next winter it was still up there. I had to pull it out because we were moving, and I didn't think the military people would be very happy if I left a tomato plant growing on top of the garage. But an indeterminate plant in the Central Valley can easily get 8 feet tall.
And where do you see these initials on the seed
On the
packet?
tag or on the seed packet. DET is determinate.
It'll be whereabouts on the seed packet?
On the back at the top, and it may be on the front right below the name of the variety.
Okay.
Okay? I
I got it.
Ken?
got it. Uh, I don't let my plants get that tall because I trellis them up and I hate fighting through all of these branches that are coming down, so I top my plants.
I have a question about tomatoes. Back east when I was a kid, we always cut the suckers out at places.
To sucker or not to sucker?
There you go.
That's a common question. I don't sucker. We did another experiment with that at the Garden of the Sun. Fella who grew hip up here, gardened his whole life. Oh, you got a sucker. You got a sucker. A row of his tomatoes, a row of my tomatoes. And he suckered his, and they were all pretty and nice. I didn't sucker mine, and they were kind of all over the place. I had more tomatoes than he did.
Yeah, that's
Probably
right.
because they weren't getting sunburned. Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. The foliage protects them. Okay. Cat facing.
The what?
Cat facing. That's the wrinkly stuff at the bottom of the tomato. Okay. That is absolutely normal for most heirloom varieties of tomatoes. There is nothing wrong with your plant. There is nothing wrong with the fruit. Just cut it off.
I don't recognize what you're talking about, and I've eaten a lot of tomatoes.
Tomatoes on the bottom side, they'll be,
Blossom side?
yeah, it's down at the blossom end. They'll be wrinkled and there'll be black lines that kind of look like,
Mold or mildew? or
yeah,
something?
but it's dry.
Yeah.
That's called cat facing. Or on the side of a big brandywine tomato, one side will be kind of caved in.
Yeah, yeah.
That's called cat facing.
And that's genetic to these?
A lot of your heirloom varieties have it.
Okay.
Just cut the black piece out and eat the rest of it. Watering, I already talked about watering. It's a very, very common question. Fertilizing, I already talked about fertilizing. My favorite varieties. I used to not do this. I love supersonic. You cannot buy it in the store. You have to start it from seed. Supersonic. It's a large red slicing tomato. It's not quite as acidic as some of the older varieties. The other red one, large red one that I like is Celebrity. You can find Celebrity anywhere. I got plants last year at the dollar store. Okay. Two large red. Red salad. Charger. It's a determinate. Here again, you can't buy it in the store. You've got to start from seeds. The plant gets about that tall. The first year I planted him, I harvested the first one the third week of June, and the last one Thanksgiving Day.
Wow.
I love that little tomato. Charger. You have to start it from seed. It's too late to start them this year. That's and 4th of July, which is a readily available one. I like 4th of July. Yeah. Red paste is Roma. Yellow paste is banana legs. You say yellow paste? Well, I make white chili, and you need yellow tomatoes to make your white tomato sauce to go on your white chili. Red cherry is Juliet. It's a pear-shaped pink one. It's got a real sweet flavor. Yellow cherry is Sun Gold. It's a perennial favorite. And they're about, 3/4 of an inch to an inch in diameter and really, really sweet, really, really nice. Brandywine, I'll eat any brandywine you hand to me. And one I have, the thing about brandywines and the Caspian pinks, the extra large one, any tomato plant will produce between 12 to 15 pounds of tomatoes. So if you're talking about a little bitty cherry tomato, you're going to have a lot of little bitty cherry tomatoes. If you're talking about a 2-pound Caspian pink, you're lucky to get 3 or 4 off of your plant. But oh man, have you ever had a Caspian pink?
You haven't touched on my favorite.
What's your favorite?
I like the Ace tomato and the Early Girl tomato. For flavor, I haven't found anything that beats them.
Ace for canning.
Yeah.
The reason I like it for canning is because of the acidity.
Yeah.
The other varieties that I mentioned, they have been bred to have a lower acidity, and so when you can, you have to add vinegar.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Years ago, I read an article in some magazine about somebody that got botulism. Their kid got it, but the adults didn't because the kid wasn't as immune.
The immune
to that kind of
system
thing.
wasn't as good.
And it was non-acid tomatoes or low acid tomatoes.
And I've canned my whole life. My grandmother canned, my mother canned. I canned my whole life. I've always used a steam canner, and I know it's not approved by the UC. You either need to use water bath or pressure cooker. You can use a steam canner, you've just got to be aware of either sugar content, salt content, or acidity. Those are the three things you've got to be aware of.
Water bath. Yeah.
No, steam canner, not a water bath, steam canner. You have water in the bottom and it boils up and you have steam going around your jar.
I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, I've canned that way my whole life. So anyway,
The only
All right.
thing I've ever done is water bath.
we have 7 minutes left in my hour. Hand me questions.
Well, can you stay another hour?
I can talk for 3 hours on compost. I can talk for 3 hours on tomatoes. Yeah.
Did you say about ashes?
The ashes, when I grew up in Indiana, the soil was acidic, and we needed to raise the pH, so our wood ashes, we put them out on the ground and fill them in, instead of adding lime or sulfur, okay? Sulfur, not sulfur,
Lime.
gypsum. I came to California, our soil is already alkaline. I put wood ashes on, it just made it more alkaline, so I had to put sulfur to get the pH back down lower where I wanted it. You can't rely on what you did somewhere else. You can't rely on the information in the book that was written by a fellow who lives in New England, or Virginia, or South Carolina, or Indiana, or Iowa. We live in the Central Valley. Questions?
What about using, like, hay for mulch a lot?
It's fine.
Yeah,
The only problem with using hay is it's got seeds. You're better off
Yeah.
using straw.
straw, okay.
Sometimes I had the best crop of oats in my
Oh, yes!
lawn because I didn't get pure straw. I got oat hay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Questions?
I have one.
Yes.
What are the best complementary plants to tomatoes that you would plant next to them?
I don't believe in complementary planting.
Oh, don't believe in what?
Oh, complementary plants next to each other.
I have tried it. We have done experiments with it down at the Garden of the Sun.
No salsa
Doesn't seem to
garden?
make that much difference.
Can you put your peppers close, or,
Peppers and tomatoes and eggplant are all in the same family.
so it's okay?
It's okay, but you don't want to plant eggplant, tomato, peppers. Peppers, eggplant, tomato in the same soil again, because it's all the same family. You might get nematodes, you might get some of the verticillium or fusarium wilts, and they're all in the same family, and they're all susceptible to it.
So next year I should plant something besides tomatoes and peppers in my
Yes,